The Big Issue, breaking down the issues that matter.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Leadership Podcast. It's another edition of The Big Issue, but I will not fail to apologize for the delay, which of course is due to some unforeseen circumstances beyond our control. And of course, we don't intend to take much of our time. As usual, I'm your regular host, George Agba, and with me here in the studio is our very, very vibrant in-house analyst. Of course, you all know him, Sunday Isua.
It's nice to be here.
You are welcome to this program. And for the big issue of the day, we have holiday largesse for National Assembly members and matters arising. But before we take on the big issue, let's quickly look at issues in the news. And here we have Nigerians kick as ECOWAS orders deployment of standby troops in Niger. Nigerians have risen up against the planned deployment of troops to restore civil authority in Niger by the ECOWAS leaders of ECOWAS, chaired by their president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Well, the Economic Community of West African States recently ordered the Committee of the Chiefs of Defense Staff to immediately activate its standby force with all its elements ready to take on the military junta in the Republic of Niger. Well, that decision came just a few days after a resolution rejecting the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu-led ECOWAS to deploy troops to that country, saying there was a need to explore political solutions to this crisis. Well, our own President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, still basking in the euphoria of his election as chairman of ECOWAS, is actually proving a point that he's not just one leader that will just back without biting. Something even a former military head of state, an army general, Muhammadu Buhari, immediate past president of Nigeria, could not do, despite the coup in Burkina Faso, and which country again? Is it Mali?
Mali, yeah.
But Tinubu seems adamant to prove a point that all these khaki boys will not just wake up from nowhere and begin to overthrow a democratically elected government. Well, to what extent he goes is what we are waiting. But Isua, what do you see in this kind of situation? Nigerians are not comfortable. Number one, let me tell you why they are kicking against this. The fear is that you don't underrate a country like Niger. For instance, now IBB, I read where IBB's former media aide, Kasim Afegwa, what is that his name, was saying that the former military president, General Babangida, told him that why he refused to, was it cutting off the light to Niger at the time they were saying, was because during the Nigerian Biafra war, that Niger gave Nigerians most of their arms and ammunition to fight the Biafran army. Something at the end of the day he will not forget about that country, and that is why the ties between Niger Republic and Nigeria is very strong. Secondly, there are Nigerians who are trying to refer the ECOWAS leaders to the war in Russia, the Russia-Ukrainian war. That see a small country holding Russia spellbound, and we ECOWAS is here taking that country, Niger Republic, for granted. And secondly, lastly, the fear is that if this war starts, all these countries, like the man who even moved the country the man who even moved that motion, that they should go against, they should use military might against Niger Republic, is the president of Kenya? He was the very first. But the fear is that if the war starts, the resources that will be pooled to execute that war will mostly come from Nigeria, where people are suffering already. There are palliatives that are supposed to be distributed, reeled out for Nigerians to help them cushion the effect of subsidy removal. Then the Nigerian president, in his capacity as ECOWAS chairman, he is very busy, crying more than the bereaved, fiddling like Nero, while Rome was on fire. What would you make out of all these points, these particular reasons that are actually making Nigerians to kick against the idea of deploying military might?
Well, it's not actually a Nigerian thing. It's a regional. It's a regional thing, and as you said, they are just standby troops. And President Bola Ahmed Tinubu have already said that they are going to explore different options. And so they are starting with political options, discussions, just to see that, they resolve the political conflict there in Niger. People like me have already said that since the coup was without blood, so military might should not cause bloodshed in Niger. If the government, I mean the ECOWAS leaders, can't, resolve this issue amicably, I think it will be a good thing. But positioning standby troops, I don't think it's a bad idea, because the communique of the ECOWAS leaders in their previous meetings, states clearly that any country that military intervention takes place, then they will deploy these troops. And now these troops are not going there for war. They are standby. And so as they are standby, then discussions continue. Because if you just allow this military coup to keep reoccurring, then the essence of democracy will not be there. Because the main issue is that the ECOWAS nation don't want military intervention. And so I think the best way to go about this for countries who have not had this kind of intervention is good governance. If you provide good governance, then there will not be an issue of military intervention. Well, there are different stories about the reason why the military intervened in Niger. First of all, I was told that the president removed his ADC, and that the ADC was very influential. And so the ADC left, then the president was making move to return the ADC to his position, and the ADC refused. And so since he has his own lawyer boys, and looking at the nature of their country, they are a very small country. A state in Nigeria can compete favorably with Niger, and can even, be ahead of them economically.
Of course, they have been relying on Nigeria for their power, electric power supply.
So you can see, you can see, what is playing out there. We are a big nation, and so we must guide these African countries to entrench democracy, and not just entrenching democracy, the principles of democracy, which talk about good governance, free and fair elections, freedom of speech, freedom of association must be entrenched in this country. So deploying troops, standby troops, it should not be issue of outcry in Nigeria, because the communique of the ECOWAS nation have already said that. Even though some people are saying that, well, the Nigerian constitution states very clearly that a president cannot go to war without the approval of the National Assembly. And we know what went out, we know what went through during the last sittings of the National Assembly, when the president presented a memo seeking for support, to implement the ECOWAS communique.
Decision, yeah.
Yes, and so the Senate did not outrightly say that they are not going to support President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, but they acknowledge that he is the president
Of ECOWAS.
of ECOWAS. And so he has the right to push, to ensure that normalcy and democracy is returned to Niger Republic. And so there is no cause for alarm. Nigerians should not, the president is not going there for war. The standby troop must be there. Then while discussions continue.
Well, most Nigerians, there are some Nigerians who still believe that Tinubu's action is still within the purview of what they could say a mild intimidation, to see how he can actually rattle the military junta to actually restore democracy in that country. What in the local parlance here we always describe as afternoon open eye. They say that is what Tinubu is doing, to see if he can intimidate the military junta. But hours after declaration of the ECOWAS, by ECOWAS, to deploy its standby force to that country, the military junta warned that, look, if they try them, they will kill the deposed President Mohamed Bazoum. If neighboring countries attempt any military intervention to restore his rule. Now, in the event where the military junta in Niger Republic remains adamant, what next? Will the standby force keep remaining standby on that in that country, or what next?
Well, I think there will be a way out. But in my mind, I don't think the former president will go back to that seat. I know very clearly that the ideology of the former president is the same ideology the military juntas are pushing, because they want freedom from their colonial masters. Yes. I watched an interview the former or the ousted president granted to BBC Hausa. He spoke in Hausa, and I understand Hausa very well. So he was complaining that they are not in control of their resources. He said within a year or so that something is going to happen, so that they will break away and see how they can manage their resources. Now, these are people who are fighting the same thing. And so the coup took place and there was no bloodshed. So I don't think there should be bloodshed in the nearest future. This issue should be settled amicably.
Well, thank you very much, Isuwa. You've just said something that the military junta is we're talking about freedom from colonial rule. And that is where I suspect they might have a very hard day, because if that is the case, then the United Nations, the European Union, and other in the bodies of the international community too will actually be fighting very hard to ensure that their plans to impose that military government does not see the light of day. But that is not the issue for the day. That is an issue to discuss another day. It's an ongoing process. And the chairman of ECOWAS, President Tinubu, has ensured that ECOWAS deploys its standby forces in that country. As they stand by there, let's see the outcome. Well, for the big issue of the day, holiday Largesse for NASS members and matters arising. Nigerians woke up to a shocking revelation, whether it was deliberate or a slip of tongue by the president of the Senate, telling senators on the floor of the red chambers at plenary that some quits has been sent into the account for them to enjoy their holiday as they prepare to go for recess. And when that statement sparked a kind of rowdy session on the floor of the Senate, the Senate president, Senator Godswill Akpabio, retraced his steps. And of course, that has not ended there. Just as Nigerians will begin to question this idea of getting Largesse available for lawmakers to go and enjoy themselves for the holiday, while they are grappling with the hardship that has been caused by the removal of fuel subsidy. The green chamber, the lower chamber, the House of Representatives came out, its members came out protesting seriously that they were not part of that largesse. The news is out there, but Isua, let's begin it from what the Senate President said. Let's see it from what the President, the Senate President said. What would you say about Akpabio's utterance? Is right that is how former Senate presidents have been announcing that, oh, we have made that largesse available for you? Or is it that he...
Well, I think Senator Godswill Akpabio is learning the job. And so you don't blame him. I saw a tweet from Senator Shehu Sani. He said that those kind things, the button is not pressed in the open, but the Senate President now pressed the button in the open. So everybody knows that for every recess, there must be allowances. And, you know, all over the world, lawmakers go for recess, and in every of their recess, they get allowances. And so allowances for a recess is a constitutional thing. These are monies that are budgeted for. But because it was mentioned at the floor of the House, yes, you know, it was mentioned at the floor, it makes most people, especially Nigerians, to begin to raise questions, you know, concerning where did they get the money for that.
Isuwa, before we even continue, before you continue with your analysis of the situation, I think it would be better for us to replay that video for Nigerians to see, and let's know whether that was a deliberate announcement by the Senate President, or he was just merely being flippant because he's still learning the job. Well, let's just take a look at the video before we continue.
Of the leader, and then as soon as Senator Umahi takes his oath of office, we shall rearrange the office of the leadership. In order to enable all of us to enjoy our holidays, a token has been sent to our various accounts by the clerk of the National Assembly. I withdraw that statement. In order to allow you to enjoy your holiday, the Senate President has sent prayers to your mailboxes, to assist you to go on a safe journey and return.
Well, so you can see what happened there. From the video now, you can see what had really transpired clearly. So wait. After the Senate President made that announcement, you heard the noise that came out from on the floor there. That means lawmakers were protesting. And he now quickly said, I withdraw that statement. And somebody walked up to him and whispered something. And the next thing he could say is that something has been sent to their email box. They don't send money to email box. So what they send,
I
think before you even tell us the circumstance, let me tell you what that noise coming from the floor of the Senate there, from the audience, from the lawmakers, what that noise meant. I think they would have asked themselves, what kind of Senate President do we have? There's no flippant, a negligible pocket radio, a canary bed, a man that will run his mouth like typewriter, instead of him to leave this thing and tell us six.
I think
probably he is actually making everybody know.
Now, if you look at that video very well, after he spoke, I mean, he finished with issues of plenary. He hit the gavel. What that means is that they are done.
They are done.
So he didn't know that they were still live. Okay? He didn't know that they were still live. These people, they started ministerial screening around 12 or 1 p.m. that very day. And so it ran into the night. as at the time he was speaking, it was around to 10 or after 10 p.m. that very day. So they were exhausted. And so he wanted to impress some of them that, look, a token have been sent to your account from the clerk of the National Assembly. So there was interruption. So he was confused. So he now realized that, okay, what he said is not even actually something he should say in the public. So he now said, okay, a prayer have been sent to your mailbox. You know,
that is medicine after death.
Honestly, lawmakers, you know, they are entitled to their allowances. I have read several books about the Senate. I've read books about the U.S. Senate and all that. And there was a book I read written by the former Senate leader of the United States. His name is Tom Dastrell. He said that recess is an opportunity for lawmakers to see their bosses. You know, he said that during recess is what they call work period. Now, in that work period, he said that they go back to their states, meet with people in their constituency.
And I think
office.
that is the time they used to even do their oversight, the constituency project.
He said they knock on the doors of their bosses. That means the constituents.
Okay.
And so in doing that, you need your allowances to carry out all these duties. You understand?
Because you even talk, those allowances will even cover situations where some of them will come to you, telling you of their problems and expecting that as their lawmaker.
Of course, you know, they bring personal issues, they bring issues that involve their communities. So there are some issues that you don't need to wait for government to address it. There are issues that you should, as a lawmaker, address at that time. And so in going for recess, you don't go without allowance. And considering the fact that these lawmakers, they stop their recess a week earlier just to make sure that they screen the ministerial nominee. This issue wouldn't have been a problem if Akpabio kept quiet. But because as he mentioned it, some people would think hundreds of millions have entered into their accounts.
And then Nigerians, there will be their constituents will be waiting for them.
So what is there is
ecclesiastic
it's
person.
not beyond what have been budgeted for, what they are entitled.
Okay. It was not as if was just a special package that was given to them.
It could be there could be a special package, and if that package is budgeted for, you won't question it. There could be a special package. It could be their normal recess packages, but I know quite well that in Nigeria, people who work where there are monies, they get more allowances than others who work where money is not being generated. Yes. And so the lawmakers, I'm not saying that these lawmakers are sent, and that's why I'm raising this issue. They may not be different from other lawmakers. And there is no lawmaker that will say that, okay, his allowances is given, he's going to disclose his allowances. They will not. They will not, because they know that it's an empowerment for them to go back to their constituency and do more work, because it is work period.
Well, I think the problem here is not actually that they're entitled to their allowance. The problem here is that apart from the discontent from the lawmakers who felt that their Senate president has washed their dirty linens in the public, or not really dirty linens, would have revealed some little secret that they always keep to themselves.
Yeah.
There are Nigerians too who are now wondering, okay, so you people are going to enjoy your holiday with that allowance while we are here battling with the hardship that has been caused us due to the removal of fuel subsidy. That is another leg to it. Nigerians, if you see reaction on the social media, you see it came at a time where even the Senate president would have actually called himself to order not to mention this in the public. But that is even the problem of the red chamber, because what Akpabio did, the gaffe is something that has actually put them on the spotlight. But let's look at that last leg quickly before we go. Time is no more on our side. The House of Representative members came out too complaining bitterly that they were not given that largesse. And then one would now ask, if that is the usual allowance given to them when they are going on recess. We all know that it is not just the senators that are going for recess. The House of Representative members too are going for recess. But the problem here is that there is the possibility that the members of the Green Chambers will be heading for a showdown over the fact that they were not carried along in the largesse. Why is it so?
Well, I don't think, I said it's because of disinformation. All right. Now, as a lawmaker in the House of Representatives, if you hear that somebody say that, oh, senators receive 45 million, and in the House of Representatives, you do not receive anything, won't you protest?
Of course.
Of course. So, one, disinformation is key
because
here.
what is source for the goose is source for the gander.
Yes,
they are all lawmakers.
They are all lawmakers.
Whether
So
senior
I am
lawmaker,
telling you,
junior lawmaker,
I am telling
a
you,
lawmaker is a
the
lawmaker.
House of Representatives went on the recess a week before the senators. And so the House of Representatives might have gotten their own a week before the senators. And so if the senators announce their own later on, the House of Representatives would be misled. Okay, oh, this thing, for it to be announced in the floor of the Senate, it means it's a special gift. So why didn't we get the gift?
That special
So
gift.
I'm seeing it as a result of disinformation. Okay, if there is a special package for the senators, there must be a special package for the House of Representative members.
Because according to report, they say the lawmakers at the lower chambers are actually angry that they are even pointing accusing finger to a presidential aide who actually they are pointing accusing finger on a presidential aide who they say might have allegedly collaborated with the leadership of the House to deny them of the opportunity of enjoying their own holiday. The problem is that most Nigerians are asking when the report broke out today, that report was in Leadership Friday. That was the second story of Leadership Friday, and an exclusive for that matter. That most Nigerians are saying, but why is it like that? That even among them, there is segregation. Because the lawmakers said, the House of Rep members said that they were not carried along. That means if there was something for them, even if Speaker Abbas was wise enough not to have announced it publicly, at least he would have told them in camera that, look, something is for you. But up to then, nothing has been said. So you don't blame them.
Yes. So that could vindicate Akpabio.
But let me just get it clear that maybe there was nothing special.
Yeah.
It is just the normal routine allowance.
Yes.
Akpabio is now making it look like there's a special largesse.
Yes.
And then the House members felt that apart from the allowance, something was given differently.
Yeah. And because they worked throughout the day. So Akpabio wanted to impress the lawmaker. He didn't know that he was doing more harm than good.
Well, I think we are not going to overheat this matter because from what our in-house analyst Isowa has said here, I think we should understand with him because he's actually at the heart of the federal legislature, and he should know better than us that it was actually a slip of tongue that has actually caused some kind of a collateral damage, where even the lawmakers at the House of Representatives were even mistaking the usual routine allowance given to lawmakers whenever they go on recess to be a special largesse given to the senators and was not extended to them. And that all boils down to one thing. It was the flippancy of the Senate president, who actually we might actually understand with him that he is still learning gradually how to be a Senate president. And that would have guided him that next time he will guide against his flippancy. He will not actually come out to say things he's not supposed to say on live television. Or perhaps he forgot that they were still taking them live after hitting the gavel to mark the end of plenary. Well, that is the much we can take for today's edition of The Big Issue. I would thank you, our viewers, for actually keeping tab with us despite our starting late. It is not easy, but at least we always want to acknowledge the fact that you are there for us, and it is because of you that we are here. And of course, I would thank our in-house analyst, Isuwa, for addressing the big issue. Join us same time on Monday for another edition of this program. Have a wonderful weekend.